Hey guys, this is Ryan from Kansas Bass Fishing, and today we will be looking over the Duckett Ghost. This model I have, I shall roll it over and show you guys the specs. It's a 7-foot medium heavy, and obviously if you guys are familiar with Duckett, they do not give lure or line ratings. But if I had to say, for those of you who are wondering, it plays like a pretty true medium heavy. I mean, these rods really, when they rate the power, they're pretty true to that. I'd say, you could probably throw anywhere from 10 to 20 pound test line and be just fine. And lure rating, I usually throw stuff between 1/4 and 3/4 ounce in this rod. I noticed with this rod and what seems to be with most suckers, they have a little bit softer. They have ton of backbone. I mean, this one holds true to that, but their tips are a little bit softer. So I kind of prefer to throw in that 1/4 to 3/4 ounce range, and usually sticking to that 1/4 to 1/2 ounce range when I'm with the applications I throw on this rod. But I guess we will start at the butt end of the rod and move up to the tip as we talk about it. Okay, here's your butt end. It has that rubberized cork on the end, and it's actually pretty thick in my opinion on this butt section of the EVA foam. Oh, and I actually love this foam right here. I have other rods with EVA foam, but it's a really firm cork. Cork, obviously foam, and yeah, it really holds up to the test. I mean, you can see I've had this for about 2 months, and that doesn't sound very long, but I've really fished this rod. This is every time I go to a pond, because it's a really utility rod. I use it a lot. I mean, you can see some little nicks in the foam, but I mean, honestly, it holds up quite well. It's very comfortable in your hands. I'll zoom out a little bit. There's your split grip, and it's a little bit longer than I would have thought it would have been for a 7-foot rod, but at the same time, for what I'm using it for, it's nice to be able to tuck it under your arm like that to get lots of leverage on fish, especially when you're setting the hook, or just when you're I use this a lot for chatterbaits and swim jigs and small swim baits and stuff like that. So being able to tuck it under your arm really makes a difference. I mean, I can really, it's really comfortable to fish with. But here's your handle. No, so I kind of went over the foam, but I guess if you want to talk about the thickness and the comfortableness of the handle, I'd say it kind of falls in between some of your thicker handles and your thinner ones. I know, if you're familiar with Falcon rods, they have real thick handles, and it's not quite that thick, but it's definitely, I would never consider it thin. It's somewhere in between, and I think that'll make it pretty comfortable for a lot of people. Because I know for me, I have bare hands, and it's about the right thickness for me when I'm using it. And the length of the handle itself makes it very comfortable for casting. Again, I have big hands, so I like a handle that's a little bit longer. And it's definitely what I wanted out of the handle. So it's a very comfortable rod to fish with, I will say that. There's your reel seat. See, there's a little Duckett inscription. Oh yeah, it's a completely exposed blank here, which some people hate that. It doesn't bother me at all. This reel seat really, holds firmly to the reel. A lot of people complain about slip-ups on, not necessarily the Ghost, but, on other rods that have this kind of a reel seat, but I have not noticed that while I'm fishing. Yeah, it has a good trigger here, which the reason I bring that up is some rods have real short triggers. I hate that. And this one, it's got you can get a good grip on it when you're casting. Yeah, like I said, this screws down real tight. I haven't had any slip-ups on my reel. I know I've had it for 2 months, so I mean, we'll see down the road if it has any, but again, I haven't had any problems with it. And here's back to the whole insignia, and then there's your hook keeper. I kind of wish I had a Texas rig style hook keeper where you didn't have to pull it out of your baits, but then again, I'm using it mostly with, chatterbaits and swim jigs and stuff like that, so it's not a big deal. I mean, it's not like I have a problem getting it to the hook, I'm not having to pull it out of stuff for the most part. And there's your labeling again. Now let's move on. Oh yeah, the thickness of this blank, it's I consider it fairly thick. I have a tattoo, and if you're familiar with those have fairly thin blanks. I have a heavy for that. It's about this thick, but that seems to be pretty normal for Duckett rods in general. But at the same time, I think it's good. I like it that way. I mean, sometimes people think that takes away from sensitivity, but in this rod, that doesn't seem to be the case. it just seems to bring a ton of backbone to it, which I like. And moving on up to the guides. So this is what got the most hype out of these rods, in my opinion, and that is the insertless titanium guides. This is your first guide, and I'll just show you guys the rest of them. I apologize. Probably do this with one hand, so it may come off for a second. The next one, moving on up. But yeah, so those are the guides. I really like these guys. I haven't noticed any cracking or anything. I mean, again, I've only had this rod for 2 months, so if that happened, I'd definitely have some concerns. But I really haven't had any problems with the guides. They fish great. They bring a lot of sensitivity. They're not quite as small as the ones that are on the Micro Magic, or I guess they're now called the Micro Magic Pro. Not quite as small as those, but they're still small. They're small somewhere in between their typical micro guides and what most people would consider minimized guides. Probably leaning a little more to the minimized guides if you look at just the standard industry micro guides. But they definitely bring something else to this rod. I mean, they bring some sensitivity. They cut down on weight. I mean, they're nice. I like these guides a lot. I fish them mostly with fluorocarbon. I have this paired with my Revo S. I just did a review on that, so if you guys want to check that out, it's on my channel. It's my last video. And yeah, I fish it mostly with fluorocarbon. I typically don't like to throw braid on micro guides. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of guys have no problems with that, but if I were going to throw braid on a micro guide rod, this would be it, because I have no fear of those guides. Those, you know, without the inserts, obviously you're not going to pop out or anything, and just with braid being so rigid, and I don't want to have a hook set that I hit the hook, you know, on a big bass and one of the inserts pops out just because of the pressure on it. But yeah, really like this rod. Love these guides. Just going into some of the performance things, I kind of just went over, you know, more of the pieces of the rod. It does have a little bit, like I mentioned, it has a little bit softer tip. I'll try to show you on the ground there. That's about your tip there, which it's softer on the very end. When I say it has a soft tip, it's soft for about up to about probably the third guide from the end, I'd say. And then it really just loads up into all backbone, which is really, really nice for a lot of applications. It makes it a very versatile rod. You know, I think that this is obviously a medium heavy, but if you wanted to buy one of these for frog fishing, to get a $100 rod from frog fishing, this is perfect with the tip it has on these, because I mean, you're gonna have a ton of backbone. You may want to get the heavy. I mean, you could honestly use the medium heavy though, just because how much backbone it has. It handles fish great. I mean, I catch a lot of 3 or 4 pounders out here, and it seems like, I mean, it handles those like a dream. I don't ever feel like I don't have control over a fish with this rod. But yeah, that's my review of the Duckett Ghost. If you guys have any questions, or if there's anything I left out, just feel free to comment, and I will do my best to get back to those. I know I'm not perfect when making these. I always leave stuff out, so I want to make sure I get everything covered for everyone. But yeah, leave a comment, like, and subscribe to my channel. This has been Kansas Bass Fishing with Ryan, and we'll see you guys next time.